If you are one of the chosen, you have already felt this war inside. A daily conflict between what you want now and what you were called to be. The flesh asks for comfort, distraction, immediate pleasure. The spirit cries out for silence, discipline, and truth. This struggle is real, and you are right in the middle of it. The flesh is hungry for dopamine, purposeless food, validation on social media, lust disguised as love. It screams loudly, and if you are not aware, it takes control. But the spirit is steady, even in silence. It does not want to anesthetize, it wants to awaken. And that is exactly why you are here. You feel that you were called for more. Not by religion, but by purpose. There is something in you that is tired of living on autopilot. Something that wants to rise, take command, and start living with clarity. That something is your spirit, and it is asking for space to breathe and to lead. This channel is for you who know you need to change from the inside out. Not with pretty phrases, but with truth and renunciation. Here, we speak to those who feel, and not to those who only watch. If this message makes sense to you, follow the channel now and let us go through this transformation together. The chosen do not conquer the flesh with force. They conquer with awareness, with fasting, with presence. You are being called to kill what weakens you and feed what lifts you up. And this starts with one step, today, here, now. The invisible war, flesh versus spirit. Chosen one, you have already noticed. Every day there is a war inside you. One part wants pleasure, comfort, and ease. The other wants purpose, truth, and presence. This war is not imaginary. It is spiritual, emotional, and physical. It is the battle between the flesh and the spirit. And you feel it with increasing intensity. The flesh wants everything now. It wants to eat without hunger, to watch without thinking, to yield without resistance. It does not want you to grow, only to distract yourself. It seeks shortcuts, instant gratifications, and silence for the conscience. But the spirit wants to align you. It wants to remind you who you are and why you are here. This war does not happen out there. It lives in your choices. When you wake up and decide to feed on anything, consume any content, accept any thought, you give the flesh the advantage. When you wake up with intention, discipline, and presence, the spirit begins to command. And it is in this command that your strength resides. The flesh offers sensation. The spirit offers direction. The flesh says, just today. The spirit says, for what you were called. The flesh wants to keep you comfortable. The spirit wants to see you free. And true freedom will never come through indulgence. It comes through surrender, through the conscious denial of what sabotages you. The truth is simple. What you feed grows stronger. If you feed the flesh, it dominates. If you feed the spirit, it leads. And you cannot serve both. You need to choose every day in small actions. This choice forms your character, shapes your frequency, and decides your destiny. Many still try to balance. A little purpose, a little pleasure, a little reading, a little pornography, a little prayer, a little gossip. But this mixture is the path of stagnation. You do not evolve by trying to reconcile what needs to die with what needs to grow. The world today pushes you toward the flesh all the time. Social networks feed your haste, your comparisons, your hunger for validation. Marketing says that you deserve everything now. Culture preaches freedom without responsibility. But you were not called to live like the world. You were set apart. You were chosen. And being chosen is not having a perfect life. It is fighting daily battles in silence. It is resisting when no one sees. It is standing firm when the flesh screams. It is honoring what the spirit asks, even when it hurts. Because this pain is the seed of authority. Each renunciation made in silence builds power in secret. The good news: you are not alone in this war. Thousands of other chosen ones are awakening. They are cleansing themselves. They are saying no to the flesh, even when it would be easier to give in. And every time a chosen one rises, the light increases. The frequency rises. The new reality begins to form. Chosen one, your war is the proof of your calling. Do not fight it with shame. Fight with awareness. Fight with decision. You were made to win. And this begins when you stop negotiating with what needs to die and begin to feed what is ready to lead, your spirit. Part 2. Disguised desires, the traps of the flesh. Chosen one, the flesh does not appear as a monster. It comes gently. It comes with justification. It comes with a sweet voice saying, "You deserve it." But behind that voice is a force that wants to keep you trapped. Trapped in cycles of guilt, distraction, and exhaustion. The flesh is subtle, but destructive. It does not just want you to overeat. It wants you to use food as an escape. It does not just want you to rest. It wants you to use laziness as an excuse not to act. It does not just want physical pleasure. It wants to trap you in addictions that steal your energy and destroy your identity. The flesh promises you relief, but delivers shame. It promises pleasure, but delivers prison. And the most dangerous thing, it uses emotional and spiritual exhaustion as a gateway. When you are weak, exhausted, discouraged, it offers quick fixes. One click, a snack, a swipe. But all of this comes at a high price. That is why the chosen need to learn to identify these patterns. It is not just about what you do. It is about why you do it. Eating is not a sin. Sleeping is not weakness. The problem is when these actions are used to run away from what the spirit is asking. The problem is when they become escape. Have you noticed? The more you give in, the harder it becomes to resist. Because the flesh creates habits, and habits create realities. If you train your body to always obey its impulses, it becomes the leader. And when the flesh leads, the spirit disappears. Clarity disappears. Purpose fades. The flesh will never be content with little. It will always ask for more. Today it is a chocolate. Tomorrow it is pornography. Then it is an emotional betrayal. When you feed the flesh, it swallows your integrity little by little. And when you realize it, you no longer know who is in control of your life. But every time you say no, something in you grows stronger. Each small renunciation is a spiritual training. You are not just resisting a desire. You are training your soul to reign. You are showing your body that it is not in charge. You are teaching your spirit that it can trust you. This struggle happens behind the scenes of your routine. It is in the moment when you open the fridge without hunger. In the click, you know you should not make. In the snooze, you know is stealing your time from purpose. It is in these moments that the chosen one takes a stand. You were not called to live as a slave to your own impulses. You were called to govern your inner world. And this does not begin with big decisions. It begins with small daily victories. Saying no to what weakens, saying yes to what strengthens. The flesh does not die in one day, but it weakens with consistency. Chosen one, this war is silent, but it is sacred. The world may not notice when you resist, but heaven notes every yes to the spirit, every no to the flesh. This forms you, this sharpens you, this prepares you for what is coming. You are at war, and you are winning, one choice at a time. The silence of the spirit. Why you are not listening. Chosen one, have you ever wondered why it seems difficult to hear the voice of God? Why even when praying, you feel like you're talking to the walls? The truth is simple and hard. The spirit speaks softly, But the flesh makes noise. And if the noise doesn't decrease, you won't hear what really matters. The flesh screams all the time. It screams with notifications, with short videos, with the urge to eat again, with that impulse to scroll the feed just a little more. It screams with anxiety, with random thoughts, with comparison. And the Spirit does not compete with this noise. It waits for silence. You feel that there is something more inside you, that there is something that needs to be said, understood, awakened. But as long as your mind is full of useless stimuli, you will think you are lost, when in fact, you are just distracted. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of listening, the chosen need to cultivate space. Space in the mind, in the heart, in time. Without silence, there is no listening. And without listening, there is no direction. The Spirit is like a compass, but if the map is too scratched, you won't see the way. That's why feeding the Spirit requires clearing the ground. This begins with intentionality. Turning off the phone, even if only for 30 minutes a day. Sitting in silence, without hurry. Praying without a list of requests, just to listen. Reading the Word not as a routine, but as a code. The more you empty yourself of the world, the more space heaven finds to enter. Many chosen say they do not have time to connect. But the truth is that it is not about time. It is about priority. You always make time for what you desire. The question is, do you desire spiritual presence, or just one more moment of distraction to lull the pain? Spiritual silence is not comfortable at first, because when the noise stops, the inner voices appear. Those you tried to silence with food, networks, pleasures. But it is in this confrontation that you set yourself free. The Spirit is not afraid of what you feel. It wants to heal you, but it needs you to stop running away. Every reconnection begins with an inner retreat, and the retreat begins with switching off. You do not need to disappear to find God. You just need to pause, breathe, be with yourself. The flesh hates this. It will beg you to run. But if you remain, the Spirit begins to speak. And when the Spirit speaks, everything changes. Peace returns. Direction appears. Fear diminishes. Faith strengthens. The mind clears. Because you begin to remember who you are. The Spirit does not come to accuse you. It comes to align you. And this only happens when you choose silence, even if the world is screaming. Chosen one, if you want to hear, you need to be quiet. You need to reduce the stimuli. You need to empty yourself, because the voice of God still speaks. But you need to be present to listen. Silence is the secret weapon of the awakened. There are no likes. There are no applause. But there is truth. And it is this truth that will lead you. Fasting is not a diet, it is spiritual war. Chosen one, we need to correct a common mistake. Fasting is not about eating less. Fasting is about silencing the flesh so that the Spirit speaks. It is an act of war, not of aesthetics. It is a spiritual stance where you declare, "My soul commands. My flesh does not rule me." This changes everything. When you fast, you take control away from the flesh. It is used to getting what it wants when it wants it. Food, screen, comfort, addiction, touch, pleasure. But fasting breaks this cycle. It does not kill the body, it kills dependence. And when that happens, something inside you awakens. Jesus fasted for 40 days before beginning his public purpose. Why? Because even he knew that the flesh needs to be subdued before the Spirit assumes the calling. You will not fulfill your mission full of distractions. Fasting aligns you with purpose. It sharpens your perception. It cleans your spiritual channels. There are many types of fasting: food fasting, dopamine fasting, social media fasting, distraction fasting. The important thing is not the form, it is the intention. When you stop giving immediate pleasure to the flesh, you weaken the voice of impulse, and this frees up space for the spirit to grow in authority. In the beginning, it hurts, because the flesh throws a tantrum. It will tell you it is an exaggeration, that just for today there is no problem, that you are too tired, that it is just a little. But the chosen one does not negotiate with a voice of weakness. He listens, but does not obey, because he knows that strength lies in control, not in concession. Fasting is like sharpening a sword. The spirit is that sword. But when the flesh is always satiated, that sword rusts. Fasting cleans, it prepares, it strengthens. It reminds you that you are not driven by need, but by direction. You do not eat by impulse, you live by purpose. The world calls fasting self-punishment, but those who understand the Spirit know. Fasting is freedom. It is saying, I am free even from what I like. That is power. That is self-control. That is a sharp, clean heart prepared to hear God with clarity. And the world needs that. It needs you. When you fast, you say no, not only to food, but to passivity, to distraction, to weakness, and each no becomes a silent yes to heaven, yes to clarity, yes to dominion, yes to the mission. Chosen one, fasting is not a burden. It is training. It is your preparation for what you were called to carry. Fasting is combat. It is how you win without shouting. It is how you advance in silence. And more, it is how you lead yourself before trying to lead anything else. The flesh will resist, but the spirit will be grateful. And a strengthened spirit changes your mind, your routine, and your destiny. The life of a chosen one: discipline, presence, and clarity. Chosen one. Living with the Spirit in command requires something the world rejects: discipline. The flesh wants freedom without responsibility, wants to follow desires without measuring consequences. But those who were chosen do not live on autopilot. They live with awareness. And awareness generates clarity. Clarity generates direction. And direction generates transformation. Discipline is not rigidity. It is consistency. It is waking up and not asking, what do I feel like? But what was I called to do today? It is knowing that not every desire deserves attention, but every mission needs focus. The Spirit does not demand perfection. It only needs space and intention. The life of a chosen one is made of small, powerful decisions. The time you wake up, what you choose to listen to, what you put inside, of food, of information, of thought. It is not about controlling everything. It is about no longer living in automatic mode. It is about noticing before reacting. Presence is another forgotten gift. Many are everywhere except where their body is. They are having lunch, but already thinking about the next meeting. They are praying, but with the phone vibrating beside them. They are with family, but with their mind on the feed. But the Spirit only operates in the now, and the flesh loves to pull you out of it. When you become present, you begin to feel the difference between the voice of the flesh and that of the Spirit. The flesh shouts, "Now, fast, more." The Spirit whispers, "Calm, observe, choose." But if you are always distracted, the flesh wins by default. Presence is the key to hearing what is subtle but profound. Chosen one, understand. The clarity you seek does not come from more stimulus. It comes from less noise. You do not need more content. You need more silence. You do not need more advice. You need more listening. The more you train your discipline and presence, the more the Spirit clarifies everything. The world will not applaud, but heaven is watching. Chosen one, One of the greatest traps of the flesh is the need for immediate recognition. You resist, discipline yourself, fast, seek clarity. But no one sees it. No one claps because you denied a secret desire. No one posts about your self-control. The flesh says, "Why do this if no one will notice?" But the Spirit knows. It does not need likes or spotlights. It knows that every time you say no to the flesh, a new version of you is forged in the invisible. Heaven sees, heaven records, and the reward does not come in the world's format. It comes as peace, conviction, wisdom, and authority. Have you noticed how the world applauds excess? Overeating is a joke. Oversleeping is a lifestyle. Exaggeration is celebrated. But self-control, almost no one talks about it, because it exposes those who are still being controlled. And the chosen one goes against the grain of the world. And that will never be popular. You may even be misunderstood. You may be called radical, exaggerated, too spiritual. But know this, the discomfort you cause in people is not about you. It is the Spirit in you activating in them the discomfort of what is still asleep. The glow of the chosen one confronts the darkness of the flesh. Therefore, stop waiting for applause. You do not need it. Your validation does not come from people. It comes from presence, from obedience, from the inner certainty that you are doing what you must, even when no one understands. Heaven's reward is invisible at first, but eternal in the end. While the world measures you by appearance, God measures you by secret resistance, by what you do when no one is watching, by the yes you give to your mission, even when it is difficult, by the no you give to your impulses, even when it seems easier to give in. Chosen one, after all this war against the flesh, you may wonder, is it really worth it? The answer lies in what begins to be born within you. It is not immediate, it is not loud, but it is real. When the Spirit begins to lead, your life changes on the inside before it changes on the outside. The first fruit is clarity. That mental cloud that made you doubt everything begins to disappear. You begin to know what is right before you think. You begin to make decisions with less fear. You begin to take a stand with peace, not with anxiety. Spiritual clarity does not shout, it guides. And when it arrives, you feel it. Then comes peace. And it is not the peace of, everything is fine out there. It is the peace that says, even if everything is chaotic, I am steady. You no longer despair for validation, for answers, for distractions. The flesh loses control, and the Spirit creates a center of balance within you. This is rare. This is power. And then something precious comes. Spiritual authority. It is not fame, nor status. It is the kind of presence that carries weight, even in silence. People notice that something has changed, that you do not react as before, that your words have depth, that you do not just talk about God, you carry Him wherever you go. This authority cannot be bought, it cannot be forced. It is generated in the secret place, in silent fasts, in invisible wars, won within the mind. It is in these backstage moments that the Spirit builds the new you, and when you least expect it, you become an answer for others. You become an example without needing to show yourself. But attention, this path has no end. It is a continuous journey of renunciation and growth. The flesh will always try to return. It will always try to bargain. But now you already know. It lies. It promises pleasure and delivers prison. And the Spirit, even in silence, always points to freedom, truth, and purpose. Chosen one, this is the life you were called to live. Not perfect, but intentional. Not easy, but light. Because lightness is not the absence of weight. It is the absence of confusion. And when the Spirit leads, even the difficult days make sense. Even pain serves. Even silence has a voice. You were not chosen to be like everyone else. You were set apart to be an answer. And this begins within. It begins with what you feed. It begins with the no you say to the flesh, with the yes you give to heaven. Each choice, even small, shapes you, strengthens you, repositions you. The world may not understand. It may laugh, criticize, ignore. But heaven is watching. Heaven is marking it down. And at the right time, what was planted in secret will bloom in public. And what was conquered in silence will echo as authority. Because the Spirit who called you is faithful to complete what He began. So starve the flesh. Deny what pulls you back. Say no to shortcuts, to haste, to addictions disguised as pleasure. And feed the Spirit with prayer, with fasting, with presence, with purpose. This is your preparation. This is your training. This is the lifestyle of the chosen. Do not wait to be ready to obey. Obedience is the path that prepares you. Take the first step. Today. Now. Not with hurry, but with intention. Not with guilt, but with courage. The world needs awakened chosen ones, and you are one of them. Heaven is watching. The Spirit is ready. And you